If you're a man over 60 and you've been wondering why your energy isn't the same, why your drive feels different, or why the strength you once had just doesn't show up like it used to, then stay with me for the next few minutes, because what you're about to hear may be one of the biggest wake-up moments of your life. And before your mind jumps to supplements, pills, or some expensive testosterone therapy, let me stop you right there. What you're going to learn today is much simpler, more natural, and honestly way more surprising. In fact, many men over 60 have absolutely no idea that one specific type of nut they've been eating for years, maybe even decades, might actually be working against their testosterone levels, slowly, silently, and consistently. And before you think, wait, nuts are healthy, I thought they're all good for me, let me just say this: yes, they're healthy in many ways, but not all nuts are equal when it comes to hormonal balance. Some nutrition experts even argue that one of the most popular nuts in the world may be quietly sabotaging a man's hormonal health, especially later in life. But here's the twist. While one nut may be dragging you down, there's another nut that researchers, nutritionists, health coaches, and even men themselves often talk about as being surprisingly beneficial for male vitality. Some even describe it as a hormone-friendly superfood. And many men claim they feel a noticeable difference in their mood, stamina, and overall vitality when they eat it regularly. I'm going to reveal exactly what these two nuts are, why one might hold you back, and why the other might give your body the support it's been missing. But before we dive in, let me ask you something personal, something only you can answer honestly. Have you ever felt like your body is aging faster than your mind? Like your motivation is still strong, but your body doesn't cooperate the way it used to? Maybe it's harder to maintain muscle. Maybe you feel tired sooner. Maybe your mornings used to be very different from what they look like now. Whatever it is, you're not alone. These are some of the exact frustrations men over 60 talk about every day. And here's the part most people don't realize. Sometimes the issue is not age, it's imbalance. Subtle, invisible imbalances that build up over time. Hormones start shifting. Stress becomes more frequent. Sleep becomes lighter. And your diet, especially certain foods you barely think about, can either support your body or slowly drain it. That's the difference between feeling older than you are and feeling like you've still got plenty of fuel left. So let's talk about it honestly and simply. Testosterone is one of the most misunderstood topics for men. People talk about boosting it as if it's magic. Others pretend it doesn't matter. But for a man over 60, testosterone influences so much more than people think. It's not just about drive, masculinity, or muscle. It affects energy, bone strength, mood stability, mental clarity, confidence, and even your ability to recover after activity. It's woven into almost everything that makes you feel like yourself. And as men age, testosterone naturally declines slowly and steadily. That's normal. But what's not normal is how certain foods, stressors, or lifestyle habits can speed up that decline. Many older men start noticing changes long before they ever talk to a doctor or friend about it. They don't feel like themselves, but they can't describe why. It's subtle. And this is why learning what supports your body and what slows it down is so important. Now, when it comes to nuts, most people assume they're all great for you because they're packed with healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. And that's true to an extent. Nuts can be very good for you, healthy for the heart, healthy for the brain, and great for overall nutrition. But here's where it gets interesting. Different nuts affect the body differently. Some nuts contain specific compounds that are very beneficial for testosterone. Others contain compounds that some nutritionists believe may interfere with optimal hormone balance. And this brings us to the nut that many men may be consuming without realizing it might not be ideal for testosterone. It's extremely common. It's in trail mixes, salads, snack packs, protein bars, desserts, everywhere. Some people eat handfuls of them daily without thinking twice. Yet many men over 60 say that when they cut this nut down, they feel a subtle but meaningful difference in clarity, drive, and energy. And I'll reveal exactly which nut it is in just a moment. But first, let's take a second to talk about how incredibly simple changes can make a huge difference, especially at this stage of life. Your body's needs change as you age. What supported you at 40 might not support you the same way at 60 or 70. What used to give you energy might now make you sluggish. What used to be harmless might now be working against you. And sometimes, all it takes is a small shift to help your body rediscover balance. And that's where these nuts come in. Now, before revealing the testosterone-draining nut, let me prepare you. I want you to understand the reason behind it, not just the name. Because when you understand why something affects you, you gain power. You gain control. You're no longer guessing or relying on random advice. You understand your body. Many nuts contain healthy fats, yes. But some nuts have very high levels of certain types of polyunsaturated fats, the kind that some researchers believe may not be optimal when consumed in very high amounts by men concerned about hormonal balance. Again, these nuts are not bad. They are healthy in many ways. But if you're a man over 60 focused on maintaining strength, vitality, and testosterone health, you may want to be mindful of how often you eat them. And the nut at the center of this discussion is the walnut. Yes, the walnut, the very nut many people think of as a brain booster. Walnuts are nutritious, no doubt. They're rich in omega-3s, and they're great for heart health. But they're also extremely high in certain polyunsaturated fats that some nutrition experts believe may not be ideal for men who want to support healthy testosterone. Again, this is not about fear, this is not about demonizing walnuts. It's about being aware. It's about understanding your body's needs as you age. Some men who switch from walnuts to a more hormone-friendly nut report that they feel a difference they didn't expect. One that feels surprisingly positive. And now, you're probably wondering, alright, if walnuts might not be the best choice, which nut is the testosterone-friendly one? Which nut do many men say makes them feel stronger, clearer, more energetic, and more balanced? And that brings us to the second nut, the one many men talk about as being incredibly supportive for male vitality. So let's pick up right where we left off, because this is the part many men over 60 say becomes the true turning point, the moment everything about their daily energy, their sense of strength, and even their internal confidence begins to make sense. We've already talked about walnuts, and again, they are certainly not a bad food. They're nutritious, they're heart-friendly, and they absolutely deserve their place in a balanced diet. But when it comes to testosterone support, especially for men entering their 60s, 70s, and beyond, many men find that switching from walnuts to a different nut creates a surprisingly positive shift. And not a dramatic, overnight miracle, but a quiet, steady improvement. Something that feels natural. Something that feels like returning to an older version of yourself, the version that had more fire, more consistency, more presence. Now, as we transition into the second part of this journey, I want to highlight something important. The goal isn't to create fear around any food. The goal is education. Men today have more information available than any generation before them, yet they're often the last to hear about the simple things that could make them feel better. That's why conversations like this matter. Because you deserve to understand your body, not guess what it needs. And that brings us to the second nut, the one many nutritionists, health coaches, and everyday men talk about as being incredibly supportive for male vitality. A nut that's been enjoyed for centuries across different cultures. A nut that's compact, humble, and often underestimated. But within that small shell lies something men over 60 frequently say makes a real difference in how they feel. That nut is the Brazil nut. And if you've never paid attention to Brazil nuts before, don't worry, most men haven't. They're usually the big, awkward-looking pieces people skip in mixed nut bags, the ones most folks leave behind. But what's wild is that this overlooked nut is widely talked about in the nutrition world for its unique benefits, particularly for men seeking natural hormonal support. Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium, a mineral that plays a major role in supporting reproductive health, antioxidant strength, thyroid function, and cellular balance. While nobody claims selenium is a testosterone booster in the miracle sense, many men say they noticeably feel more energetic, more clear-headed, and more grounded when they regularly include selenium-rich foods in their diet. And Brazil nuts are by far the most concentrated natural source of selenium in the world. In fact, just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts can provide more selenium than most people get in an entire day. And this is where the interesting part begins. Many men over 60 who start eating 1 or 2 Brazil nuts daily, nothing extreme, nothing complicated, often say they feel a subtle but meaningful shift within just a couple of weeks. Not a dramatic surge, not an artificial spike, but a calm, steady, natural feeling of support. They describe mornings that feel easier, work that feels less draining, a body that feels more responsive, a mind that feels more focused, and sometimes even a spark of energy they haven't felt in a long time. Now, is this magic? Of course not. But it is the body responding to a nutrient it may have been missing for years. Selenium plays a quiet, behind-the-scenes role in dozens of essential processes. It helps defend cells from stress, supports metabolism, it helps the body maintain healthy hormone production. And while we cannot make medical promises, it's easy to see why so many men say Brazil nuts make a difference, especially when they swap them in place of a nut like walnuts, which may not be as hormone-friendly for men seeking balance. And let me emphasize this again. It's not about demonizing one nut or glorifying another. It's about understanding your body's needs. At 20 or 30, your body can get away with a lot. At 60, 70, and beyond, your body becomes more sensitive to subtle imbalances, which means small changes can suddenly have much bigger effects. That's why something as simple as switching from a high polyunsaturated fat nut like walnuts to a selenium-rich, hormone-friendly nut like Brazil nuts may feel different. But let's go deeper into why Brazil nuts are so often talked about by men seeking to maintain vitality. Imagine your body as a team. Every player has a role. Selenium is like the quiet coach in the background. Not loud, not flashy, not the star of the game, yet absolutely essential. When selenium levels are low, the body has to work harder. It gets tired more easily. Little things drain it faster. But when selenium levels are optimal, everything runs smoother. Recovery improves. Energy feels more sustainable. Even mood becomes more stable. It's not a stimulant. It's nourishment. It's grounding. And here's something many men don't realize. Selenium levels naturally decline over time if you don't actively consume selenium-rich foods. Most diets today simply don't include enough. Soil depletion also affects selenium content in foods, so even eating healthy doesn't always guarantee you're getting enough. That's why a single Brazil nut can feel like a jolt of nutrition, because it fills a gap your body may have had for years. Now I want you to think of your daily routine. Think of the foods you eat. Think about the vitamins and minerals you get on a regular basis. Chances are selenium is not something you ever thought about. Most men never even hear the word selenium, unless they start researching hormonal health, metabolism, or antioxidant support. Yet this one mineral may be one of the missing links in how consistently strong, alert, and youthful you feel. And now you may be thinking, alright, so if Brazil nuts are so helpful, how many should I eat? And here's the surprising part. You don't need many at all. Some men eat just one. Others eat two. Occasionally three. The key is not to treat Brazil nuts like almonds or cashews, where you can eat handfuls. Brazil nuts are powerful precisely because they're so concentrated. Too much of a good thing can be counterproductive, so men who talk about experiencing the most balanced benefits stick to 1 or 2 per day. Simple, easy, effective, no overthinking. And here's where the story gets even more interesting. When men switch their daily nut from walnuts to Brazil nuts, many describe a dual effect. First, they remove something that may not be ideal for testosterone support. Second, they add something that may help their body feel more balanced and energized. It's like removing a small weight from your shoulders and then giving your body a helpful push forward. But the benefits men talk about aren't just physical. Some say their mood feels more stable. Some say they feel more emotionally grounded. Some say they feel a quiet sense of motivation they haven't experienced in a long time. Not the intense, youthful kind, but a calm, steady flame. Something that doesn't burn out by noon. Something that feels sustainable. And let's talk about energy for a moment, because this is one of the biggest concerns men over 60 face. Many men wake up tired. They push through the day tired. They go to bed tired. And then they wake up the next day in the exact same state, like they're living on repeat. Brazil nuts won't turn you into a teenager again. But many men find that when their nutritional foundation is stronger, their energy becomes more stable. Their mornings feel brighter. Their afternoons feel lighter. They stop crashing so hard after meals. And their evenings feel more peaceful. But beyond nutrition, there's something deeper happening here. Something psychological. When a man feels like he's taking control of his health, even in small ways, something changes inside him. He begins to trust his body again. He begins to pay attention. He begins to feel a sense of agency, the sense that aging doesn't have to mean decline, that strength doesn't have to fade, that vitality doesn't have to be lost. And that small change, believe it or not, often becomes the foundation of a bigger transformation. But there's more, a lot more. Because while switching nuts can be powerful, it's only one part of a much bigger picture. Men over 60 who truly feel better, men who regain their energy, their motivation, their focus, their presence, aren't doing just one thing. They're making a series of small changes. And these small changes, when combined, create a massive shift in how they feel every single day. And that's where we're heading next. Because in part 3, we're going to expand the story beyond nuts and into the deeper habits, foods, and decisions that men often overlook. The ones that quietly support testosterone, balance your energy, and help you feel alive again in your 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Now that we've uncovered the truth about the nut that many men may want to limit, and the nut that countless men say helps them feel stronger, clearer, and more grounded, it's time to take everything a step deeper. Because while identifying the right foods matters, the real transformation comes from understanding the bigger picture of a man's body after 60. This is the part most videos skip. The part no one talks about. The part that isn't flashy enough for marketing headlines, but makes the biggest difference in how you feel every single day. If you're watching this right now, you're likely not just looking for a quick fix. You're searching for answers that help you understand your body. Not temporarily boost it, not trick it, but support it. You're looking for clarity. You're looking for direction. And maybe, just maybe, you're looking for confirmation that the spark inside you isn't gone. It's just been waiting for the right conditions to reignite. So let's go deeper. Because a man over 60 is not past his prime. He's simply entering a new season. And every season brings a different kind of strength, a different kind of wisdom, a different version of vitality. Aging doesn't take energy away, imbalance does. And once you rebalance your body, even in small ways, life starts to feel different, fuller, more connected. And one of the first things men notice when they start making these small changes, like switching to Brazil nuts, is not just physical energy but a shift in identity. A feeling that says, I'm not done. I'm not slowing down. I still have chapters to write. That feeling matters. It drives every decision you make next. But beyond nuts and minerals, there's another element that plays a huge role in testosterone, vitality, and long-term health. And not enough men talk about it, even though it affects every cell in the body. That element is rest, not just sleeping at night but real deep recovery. Many men push themselves through the day as if exhaustion is normal. They wake up tired, push through fatigue, ignore signals, and then wonder why their hormones feel off, their motivation feels low, and their mood feels flat. And here's something surprising. Many men who start eating Brazil nuts daily find that their sleep feels more restorative. Some say they fall asleep easier. Others say they wake up less at night. Some say their dreams feel more vivid. Like their brain finally has the fuel it needs to do its nighttime repair work. And this isn't magic, it's biology. Selenium plays a quiet role in supporting the body's natural rhythm, helping you feel more balanced from the inside out. But even with optimal nutrition, recovery is something you must consciously protect. At 20 you can get away with ignoring sleep. 40 you can still push through. But at 60, 70 and beyond, recovery becomes the foundation of vitality. When your body rests deeply, hormones rebalance, muscles repair, stress decreases, digestion improves, even your heart rate stabilizes. Men who learn to prioritize recovery are often the same men who rediscover their energy, their clarity, and their strength. But let's move to another element that deeply affects testosterone and vitality: movement. Not intense exercise, not heavy workouts, not pushing yourself like you're in your 20s, but simple, consistent, controlled movement. Men who walk daily, stretch their bodies, keep their joints mobile, and maintain strong posture often feel naturally more energized. Their metabolism stays active. Their stress levels decrease. Their circulation improves. And improved circulation means improved vitality, in every sense of the word. And here's the beautiful part. Movement doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't require a gym membership. It doesn't require equipment. Men over 60 who simply commit to 10 or 15 minutes of daily movement, anything they enjoy, often begin to notice changes in their energy within weeks. Not because they're working out, but because they're supporting a body that wants to stay alive and active. This small habit often works hand in hand with nutritional changes, amplifying the benefits you feel. Now let's talk about another factor that many men underestimate: stress. Stress is one of the biggest silent drains on testosterone and vitality. You don't have to feel anxious or overwhelmed for stress to impact your body. Sometimes stress shows up quietly, In your muscles, in your breathing, in your sleep, in your motivation, in your digestion. And men over 60 who learn to reduce stress, even slightly, often say they feel lighter, clearer, and more emotionally grounded. And believe it or not, Brazil nuts play a role here too. Their unique blend of selenium, healthy fats, and minerals supports the body's natural stress response, helping calm the mind and support emotional resilience. When your stress levels go down, your hormones become more balanced. When your hormones are more balanced, your energy rises. When your energy rises, your mood improves. Everything in the body is connected, nothing works in isolation. But now let's zoom out even further. The real journey of a man over 60 is not just about nutrition, recovery, movement, or stress. It's about identity. It's about reclaiming control over your health. It's about refusing to accept decline as something inevitable. Men who take even the smallest step, like replacing one nut with another, begin to feel something stirring inside. A sense of direction, a sense of purpose, a sense of momentum. And momentum is powerful. Once a man feels it, even in the smallest way, he becomes unstoppable. But here's the final piece, the piece most men overlook. And if you understand this, you will unlock one of the biggest secrets of long-term vitality. Your body is always listening. Every choice you make, every meal you eat, every hour you sleep, every step you take, every stress you carry, your body responds. And when you give your body the right signals consistently, it rewards you. Not by turning you into a younger version of yourself, but by strengthening the version of you that exists right now. A wiser, more experienced, more resilient version. A version that still has the potential to feel strong, steady, alive, and deeply capable. This is where the conversation about testosterone becomes far more meaningful. Because testosterone isn't just a hormone related to masculinity. It's a marker of vitality, a marker of recovery, a marker of internal power. And while no food or nut or mineral can magically transform your levels, supporting your body with the right tools can help you feel more like the man you remember. The man who had energy, drive, and confidence that felt effortless. Brazil nuts, with their dense selenium content and supportive nutrients, are one of those tools. They're small, simple, inexpensive, and natural. They require no preparation. They require no planning. They require no sacrifices. And for many men, they become a quiet but powerful part of their daily routine. But remember this. The true key is consistency. One nut won't change your life. But one nut every day, combined with a little more movement, combined with better rest, combined with a reduction in stress, combined with a mindset that says, I'm still in control, that can change your life. Because when you stack small wins, something incredible happens. The body begins to respond. The mind begins to shift. The energy begins to rise. The vitality begins to return. You begin to feel like yourself again. Not the younger version of yourself, but the strongest version of who you are today. And that's the real message of this entire video. Not that one nut destroys your testosterone and another restores it, but that your body is capable of more than you think. That imbalance can be corrected. That energy can return. That strength can rebuild. That motivation can reignite. That aging doesn't have to feel like decline, it can feel like evolution. So if you're a man over 60 watching this right now, I want you to remember something powerful. You are not done. You are not fading. You are not losing your edge. You are entering a new chapter. A chapter where your decisions matter more, your wisdom is deeper, your purpose is clearer, and your health is still within your control. And maybe, just maybe, tomorrow morning when you wake up, you'll make one tiny decision. You'll reach for one Brazil nut. A small act. A simple act. But an act that says, my health matters. My energy matters. My vitality matters. And I'm ready to feel like myself again. Because in the end, the strongest version of you isn't gone. It's waiting. And it's ready. And it's yours to reclaim, starting with one small choice at a time. If this message resonated with you, if you learned something new today, or if you're ready to take control of your vitality again, stay tuned because we're just getting started. Your best years don't have to be behind you. They can begin right now.